So we're here today with Antonio, and what did you do?
Well, we top 6 with Witchcrafters. Well, Witchcrafter plus all the friends from the Albas lore, but that's what it is basically.
Albas and friends plus Witchcrafters.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What do you want to start off with then?
Yeah, we'll start with the.
Or do you want to talk a bit about like the philosophy of the deck, maybe?
Well, the philosophy of the deck was on a Saturday night. I was tired of building decks that were like competitive valuable, but I wasn't good with them because I was playing Despia for a lot of time when it came out on with Dawn of Majesty. But I was losing all the tournaments. So one day I just go, I need an archetype with that is fun to play for me and not for the others, but at the same time that I can like build around with cards that I like the artworks. And Witchcrafter came along with being Spellcaster, which a lot of the artworks fall. It's like one of the most supported archetypes.
Yeah, true.
And it works really well. Before I was playing a stun version, but the stun version was being beaten by everyone. So I just sided in Despia before the new Fusion Monster. Mm-hmm. And then when the new Fusion Monster came out, the deck just spiraled into being really comboing. Yeah. And I added the Brave token engine to support with, rather than the Omni Negate, the end loop that you can make with the Enchantress to get back the Rite of Aramesir, and then trigger all the Witchcrafters plus the new Fusion Monster.
Cool.
So yeah, the combo game by itself. And
nice.
A lot of the help that I had while building the deck was thanks to some YouTube channels that were specifically building Witchcrafters, like Alice Yu-Gi-Oh! And like that's the really main source of information that I got on how to build the deck throughout the metas that I passed through.
Nice.
So yeah.
Which part do we want to kick off with first?
We'll start with the Witchcrafters.
Yeah, let's go first. They're the namesake, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the 3 first one we have are of course the big ones. So we have Heine, Ver, and Aruru. There is the boss monster. We'll start with there.
Yeah, you can talk through these because I feel like there's probably a lot of people who don't know what they do.
Yeah, so basically they all get special summoned by their smaller ones, and Ver is skill drain that blankets your opponent field by discarding a spell, and she has a second effect which is really really useful where any spellcaster, not only Witchcrafter but any spellcaster, can get buffed by her for 1,000 attack and defense for each spell in your hand that you reveal.
Oh, okay.
And that came out a lot. It comes up a lot in any single game, because whenever you don't have game to beat over a tower, she can buff them or defend herself or any other spellcaster. Okay. Heine, it's really good with the Branded Fusion, because you can make Lubellion, and then she's basically the Jolly of the deck, because you can just reshuffle her plus the Water Enchantress to make the Fusion Monster.
Okay, cool.
And her effect is that she protects all other spellcaster to be targeted, so they can only target her. And then she has effect where you pitch one spell, destroy one face-up card on the field. It comes quite a lot with stun decks, where when you can't pass over the like floodgates, she can just pop them, which is really really useful. And the last one, Aruru, is really good when you're like with a full board. She just protects everyone because she has the effect where when she battles, she can be special summoned and make a card bounce if other Witchcrafter or Spellcaster gets targeted for an attack or an effect. Nice. Which comes really handy when they try to imperm, for example, your boss monster. So you just make her and pass over it, or just make any tower bounce, which is like really really useful. For the little ones, which are like the core of the deck, I cut it a lot of names. So when anyone thinks of Witchcrafter, they think about Pittore or the others. I got everyone just to make the deck more consistent, because a lot of I was playing a bigger engine, but then it came down only to these two being the core of the deck. Shmiera is the best card in deck, in my opinion, just for how consistent she is. They both have the same effect. The first effect is the same, where they both get tributed for cost, which makes them immune to infinite impermanence or effect veiler, and plus a spell to go to graveyard, and then they special summon any other Witchcrafter with a different name. So it's not bound to levels, so you can special summon either the big ones without caring, or either like if you have Shmieta, but you need Jenny, you can look for her just to send her to graveyard, because their graveyard effects are the reason why I kept them. Shmiera makes Foolish Burial for any Witchcrafter card, which is like if you need the traps, because I played traps, you can send them, or any other names, you search them basically with Shmiera. and Jenny, she can banish herself plus any spell to get the effect of the spell, which basically means if I activate the Rota for the deck, she can do it twice, because it's not once per turn. And it was really useful when stuff like Mystic Mine or stuff of Fraud Gaze was in, because she was basically the trick card of the deck. Because if, for example, they would use a card that doesn't let me use the spell, I can just make her and she becomes the effect of the spell. So it's like really, really useful.
Nice.
And so these are the smallest one. And then we have the spells.
Sure.
We have 3 Witchcrafter creation. It's the road of the deck. All the spells, this works for all the spells. They all bounce back in the hand during the end phase if you control a Witchcrafter.
Nice.
So I won't repeat in that for everyone. This is the Rota. Add a any Witchcrafter to your hand.
Any Witchcrafter monster?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really, really good. Like it's so consistent. But now we come to the new card, which is Confession Confusion. It's basically polymerization, but you need to use at least one Witchcrafter monster. Garbage card. It's shite. Like they could have made it way better by making it like invocation, where you could use like banish stuff or stuff in the graveyard, or even like use a spell as a way to fusion summon. Like these, there's no reason to play this card except for the fact that you need more names for the spell to trigger Ver and all the girls.
Okay.
And it comes quite a lot if you draw it along with 2 spellcaster name plus a Witchcrafter. Like it's really good.
Yeah.
This is the sauce. Nobody reads this card. Like Yu-Gi-Oh players have the problem that they don't read.
Yeah.
This is the incarnation of I haven't read a single Yu-Gi-Oh card. It has 2 effects. The first one is different from the other spells because it being a continuous spell, it resets itself when sent to graveyard. And the other one is that it protects any Witchcrafter all at the same time. They need to be destroyed 2 times by either card effects or battle. So it's a protection effect.
Nice.
And it comes up so good with the boss monster, and people don't read, so that works. 2 copies of Holiday. I have them in Italian, but basically they are Monster Reborn for Spellcaster. Target 1 Witchcrafter in your graveyard, special summon it to your field. Really good with... like if you overextend with Branded Fusion and you have this in hand, you can reborn any Witchcrafter that you used for Branded Fusion. So you can special summon Heine if you have like Shmieta plus the what's her name, Water Enchantress, to make Lubellion or any other card really, and then just this reborn, you get a +2 off of nothing.
Cool.
But I dropped it to 2. I was playing 3, but 2 because it's if you draw it, it's a garbage. Like you need to look for it. You don't want to draw it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
For the one-offs, Unveiling and Draping.
Okay.
Unveiling is really, really good against decks that thinks you're playing Branded because they want to Ash.
True.
You play this one. It makes all your spellcaster effects super poly, so your opponent cannot respond to spellcaster's effects.
Nice. Okay.
And it special summon a Witchcrafter from your end. So if you draw one of the bricks, which are like Ver, Heine, or Aruru, you get to special summon them. And then you get the effect where any spellcaster gets protected, so your Enchantress becomes super polymerization. So you do Enchantress effect, and then they cannot respond to it. But you play only one, because you don't always see the garnets in hand, and you don't want, if you look for the garnets in your hand, you're breaking and you're losing.
That's
and
fair.
You don't want to
Yeah.
lose. Last 2 cards, which are the sauce in my opinion. This is Patronus. Every Witchcrafter player knows what it does, and then the one that nobody plays, which is Masterpiece.
Okay.
I'll go over them because they are the longest cards inside the deck.
Sure.
Patronus basically says that any spellcaster that is banished or in the graveyard gets reshuffled back into the deck.
Okay.
And you can add a Witchcrafter spell to your hand. So it basically just makes the deck so consistent, because if you banish your your Water Enchantress, you can reshuffle it to get like Creation. So with Creation you go +1, and Water Enchantress by reshuffling her, you can just loop end like your hand with Rite of Aramesir, Water Enchantress, and Faithful Adventure.
Okay. To keep it in the back. Okay.
Yeah, and against Runic is really good, because if you have this in graveyard and like your Runic, like your opponent has banished all your Witchcrafter spells, you can banish this one and add to your hand all Witchcrafter spell with different names. So
From
that
the
are
banished
banished
zone.
from the
Okay,
banished zone.
nice.
So you basically can go +7 with just 1 card if you can foolish this one with Shmiera.
Cool.
This one is the sauce. Nobody knows what it does, and Witchcrafter players forget about what it does because it doesn't come up as often.
Okay.
But it came up a few times, and it basically reads: if you control a Witchcrafter, targets a spell in either graveyard, add it to your hand. It can either be a Witchcrafter spell or any spell that you have in your deck, which means that if you play against Branded, you target Branded Fusion, add Branded Fusion. If you play against someone that has a Venture token, target Rite of Aramesir, add Rite of Aramesir. They do Feather Duster on you, you just Feather Duster the Feather Duster. And
is it just because people don't play the?
It's because it's in.
People don't play traps. That
Yeah,
much.
that's the thing.
Okay.
But you play the one-off because if you see.
I'm just seeing it's like add any spell. Like if you control
Yeah, any
Witchcrafter.
spell. As long as you have it in your deck, you can add any spell. As long as you control a Witchcrafter.
Nice.
Which is crazy good for the deck. And
Yeah.
it came up so much because I was playing one of the matchups that I had was against Branded Bestials.
Yeah.
And I got his Branded Fusion by that one. So it comes up. The
Nice.
last Witchcrafter cards, which are not Witchcrafter, but everybody plays them, is Magician Restage,
Oh, yeah.
plus the 2 hands. Basically, they are discard material. They are
So you
necessary.
discard this and add one of these.
Yeah,
right?
they are necessary for the deck because they don't need to be discarded by the Witchcrafters, but you can discard them with any card that requires discard. So, Fateful Adventure or Branded Opening.
Yeah.
They get you to one of these.
Left is a trap and right is a
Left
spell.
trap this spell. So if you as long as you control Spellcaster, you need to remember it because a lot of time happens that you forget
okay.
them. And but they really come in clutch with the stun decks,
Yeah.
which is like really common at locals, and these save your ass because this one of the two plus Ver, you just basically can stun your opponents until like end of the game.
Nice, and that's mainly the Witchcrafter section.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Witchcrafter section is that
Yeah.
one. A lot of people would play more since we're playing a lot of cards.
You're playing
and
a
lot
bit
of
more
engine.
engine. How many cards in total?
That's a good question. I haven't counted in a while.
Okay,
but
we'll find out.
We'll find out by
after.
the end of the
Yeah,
video.
Sure.
For the Brave token engine, there's
Yep.
a reason why I'm playing it. It's because it's discard material. Branded eats a lot of your resources
Yeah.
to get to your end board. Brave token is just consistency. People think you play it for Wandering Griffin Rider. Rider doesn't do anything for the deck, especially in late game.
Okay.
A card that I would put in if I had it would be by going second I would change the Griffin Rider for Illegal Knight.
Oh, Legal Knight, yeah.
Because it just eats the end board so
That
much.
makes sense, yeah.
So we have the 1 Rider,
Yep.
3 Enchantress.
Okay.
A lot of people would think 3 Rites of Aramesir. We only need 2.
Only need 2. Okay, so
We only
3-2.
need 2.
Very OCG style.
Yeah, and a Faithful Adventure and Dragonback. Everybody
Sure.
knows what it does, but we'll go through them just in case.
I'd say we can maybe skip this part.
Alright, that's
yeah,
fine.
I like just because I think most people are aware.
Yeah, the only combo that you can do in this deck that makes it so good is this one can search for this one,
Yep.
even in the graveyard. Which means that you can use, if you draw Rite of
You only need
Aramesir
one nearly,
and an
yeah.
Enchantress, you can go normal summon Chimera, pitch the Rite,
Yeah.
and then add it back with Enchantress. So you can and the Faithful can add another Enchantress and then discard the Enchantress, which triggers not only your boss monster, but you get another spell, which like Witchcrafter eats spells like breakfast, so you need a lot of ways to get to them without
Nice,
like
yeah.
losing consistency.
So you might like consider siding maybe an Illegal Knight for if you're going second or
If you
something.
go second, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Because the Wandering Griffin Rider doesn't hurt as much going second.
Yep.
And your opponent knows that your deck is more for going first. So by adding the Legal Knight rather than the Wandering Griffin Rider, you're more flexible in the end
Yeah.
game.
Cool.
Now, the branded part is like my favorite part of the deck because it's the reason why I'm playing this build in a more combo style and it allows you to do it. So
Nice.
2 Cartesias.
Okay.
When the new stuff like Grangidol or the Dogmatica stuff comes up, we'll switch to 3.
Nice.
Right now 2 is good because you don't have a way to look for it. And this one plus any other Witchcrafter name, it's polymerization and it's a quick effect polymerization. Which basically means that if you like end with Rite of Aramesir, which doesn't allow you to use the effect of your normal summon Chimera, this one gets you to
Yeah, you do
your
it.
boss
You
monster.
do it on your opponent's turn then.
Yeah,
Because
that's,
you did that to me. I was thinking that's what was coming. So
Yeah,
very
yeah,
good.
It comes up. And 2 Alubers.
Okay.
2 Alubers are... I don't play 3 because you don't want to look for the Aluber, you want to look for the branded opening.
Yeah, I think it's very standard in the adventure one that
Yeah,
you play less
definitely.
Alubers, yeah.
Everybody know what it does.
Yep.
Just look for the
Branded Speller Trap.
Branded Speller Trap, which is Branded Fusion.
Yep.
2 Albas. Should play 3 to be honest, but I
Okay.
feel like 2 is... you don't draw it as much as 3. You don't want to draw the Albas.
Yep.
But always remember that if you do an Alubellion, then if you do Albion, always make Lubellion going like for your second Branded Fusion, because if you don't have Albas, you can't activate Branded Fusion.
True.
And you lose consistency, and that would
Yeah,
cost
to get
you
it
the
back,
game.
is it? So it's always Albion first nearly with
Yeah.
yours. Okay.
I always go Lubellion first and then Albas,
Oh.
but there are games, because you use the Inids in graveyard.
Yeah.
But this, basically, if you lose them, you lose half of your deck. There's
That's
no
fair.
point in not like playing Lubellion over Albion, in my opinion.
Okay.
2 Branded Fusion, sauce of the deck.
Nice.
Nobody expect them. Always use it. 3 Branded Fusion.
Oh yeah, I was wondering. I was like,
No, it's 3 because you have to draw them, and rather than look for them. Nobody expect them. I keep them in my hand always as the last
oh,
resort.
this is the last thing.
Because
Okay.
it's basically the sauce. Nobody expects you to play Branded in Witchcrafter. They can kind of see the Brave token, but this it just lets you win games for no reason.
Okay.
Because it's just too good. And last card, 3 openings.
Okay. Cool.
Really good because you can
your
discard anything really. Like you can discard your Witchcrafter cards and then get them back in the end phase.
Oh, your Enchantress. Or, yeah.
Enchantress, your Magician restage, and still proc a lot of effects. So there's always a +2 in this deck,
Nice.
rather than just a +1.
Which is good. Yeah. That's really,
And
really solid.
that's really how it is.
And then this is
then
kind of non-engine stuff. Is
non-engine stuff, the generic stuff.
Okay.
So we're playing 3 nibs because we forgot to side out the stuff from the last game of the previous tournament, but
So
it
you
comes.
just left him in the main for the whole time.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it comes up so much, and it lets you win a lot of games. Like, because a lot of people don't respect the Nibiru,
Nope.
and they don't expect you to play it in Witchcrafter, especially. So you just leave it in your hand, and then you drop it once your opponent does the 5 summon. You do this. Your opponent doesn't have follow-up. Even if you all nuke your own board and you have Ver on the field or any Witchcrafter, like big ones, and you have Holiday, you just reborn it. So it's like crazy good in this deck, just
Nice.
for Monster Reborn. And last 4 actually.
Okay.
2 Regegis, 1 Duster, 1 Cold. Every game I saw Cold by, I won. Because they go for the Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion, they go for the Ash.
Yes,
You do
always.
this, you win the game. This one doesn't need explanation. It just wins your game for no reason. And the Regegi, in case you go second and you wanted to go first and you do lose the dice roll, this one lets you like have a follow-up. Just to clean board break.
to clear it up.
Yeah, just as a board break.
Nice.
Because I lost all the dice roll in the tournament. Lost every single
Oh
dice
my
roll
god.
with a going first deck, and I still top 6. So
Nice.
you can tell that like by going second, you still have gas to actually go through everything.
Cool. Very good.
And
We'll go
deck.
extra deck.
Sauce of the deck, Vice Madara.
Okay.
Is the new guard from Mama, wins every single thing, and is the only thing the deck needed it to be at least rogue in my opinion, and actually have a chance to win.
Yep.
Has 3 effects. The effects are not once per turn, but the activation of the effect is any single time a non-fusion spellcaster or a spell is activated, she can pop a card without targeting,
Nice.
special summon a level 6 or lower Witchcrafter, and add a spell or trap from your graveyard, which is like kind of breaky for the way it has to look for stuff in combo with Shmieta, but it comes up really often when on your opponent's turn you summon the bear and then you want the spell back. She just takes it for you so that you can have the blanket negate on your opponent's turn without losing resources. And with Branded Fusion, this is the target. A lot of people expect the Mirror Jade, they don't expect.
So you send Albaz plus
Albas plus Aina to make Lebellion.
Aina, yeah, okay.
Lebellion pitch 1 to reshuffle back.
Nice.
And is the boy. This
Yeah,
one
yeah.
is like really good. It's literally the only reason why the deck wins against Flwandaris.
Thunder. Yeah.
Because they do Shifter. This deck would lose to Shifter.
Okay.
This lets you play under Shifter because
Nice.
it doesn't need to get the material in the graveyard. Because Branded Fusion gets the material banished by the Shifter.
Yep.
This reshuffle the banished materials. So it still lets you play under Shifter with a Witchcrafter deck, which in my opinion is just crazy.
Yeah.
The Albion is good if you don't have resources and you wanna like keep the grind game, so you banish your own resources to actually play along with the long game. Because
Sure.
the deck struggles a bit to go in the grind game, but with
And
this
it doesn't
one,
cost
you...
a discard either.
No, absolutely. So it just pops resources.
Nice.
And then last 2 boys of the game for the Branded engine.
Stuff. Yeah.
Masquerade and Mirror Jade. They're basically the I'm losing resources, so I need a way to actually make something useful out of either having 1 less Albaz or 1 less Aluber. This is the Aluber, this is the Albaz.
Yep.
You don't have a way to get to the Vice Madame, So you go this for time, you go this for to break the board and just pass over everything.
Nice.
Because the banish is just too strong in my opinion for like not play it at least.
Yep.
The package nobody expects, Dragublion package.
So what's level 8 in this?
They are all level 8. Various level 8.
All the big witchcrafters.
Yeah, the two big witchcrafter are level 8. The
Okay.
Vice Madame is level 8, so game 2 go not game 2, but around like turn 2, 3. If you survive and you still have like 2 levels 8 on the field, instead of going for another Branded Fusion, you go this plus any other level 8. You make number 97,
Yeah,
special
attach,
summon
boom.
this one to attach this one, this beast for 9k.
Yep.
It won me so many games that I just get too affectionate to the engine to remove it from the extra deck.
Definitely very unexpected.
Oh, it is. It is.
Because
A lot
people,
of
I don't like, especially when you see Branded Fusion, they just go, "Oh, there's no way there's gonna be extra ones."
And now the last engine that nobody expects, the Avramax engine.
Oh, okay.
How it basically works is you use the
Spellcaster.
Artemis. Artemis is really nice in the deck. I'll go first over here because she's the sauce of the deck. I put it in because a lot of people used to play it with Alistair when Invoked was like the really big deck. And this one basically lets you Foolish Burial your Witchcrafter. Like it sends them to graveyard. So you have a Smear on field.
Yep.
You need her in the graveyard. You make this one. Of course, you won't use Branded Fusion, but you still get the Foolish Burial of Shmira, which in my opinion in this deck is way stronger than like activating Rite of Armisier or Branded Fusion. And this one just basically lets you like go +1, and then if you have Cartesia or the Bali, you make the boss monster, because if you have 2 Witchcrafter plus this one, it's a spellcaster, so it pops off resources. EP Masquerade and Avramax, we all know what they do.
Yep.
But you need another level 2. Another link 2.
Yep.
And draw comes up so much.
And everyone's playing Bestials, so...
Yeah, they all play Bestial. It came up in my Labyrinth matchup because he stole the Lady of the Labyrinth, which he sent to graveyard, and he wanted to reborn it with the field spell. I just go Dark Effect and steal it, and I set 1 card face down. So I basically had the Lady of Labyrinth pointed by the Dark, which was untargetable and indestructible, and I just beat for game without going into Avramax. There was no need for going into it because you just steal your opponent resources.
Nice.
If you wonder how you make it, you use the Lubellion that you don't need, at least until Grangidol is out, to with the Cartesia.
Oh, yeah.
Not with the Cartesia, but with any spellcaster. So you have a spellcaster plus a dark, and you make dark. And then Avramax, because a lot of people here play Ignister or Mat Match. This beats over tower like it's nothing.
Yeah.
You need a way to beat over that because the deck tops at 3k if you don't have Ver. If you have Ver, you can go up to 8k with any single spellcaster.
Yeah, there's so many at Ignister and different weird things in here that we have to be prepared. So
there is, and it works. Like the deck works just fine. My matchups were against Dark World. I won against Dark World, won against Crystal Beast. I was really lucky because my opponent bricked. Was against, what was his name? The only game I drew was against the Labyrinth player, because I won game 1, he won game 1, I won game 2, and then game 3 I could have beat over him, but time runs out, so fair enough. What else?
Well, I think the one thing we need to talk about or address, at least the elephant in the room on it, is this deck does not do well against Ishizu.
No, it does not. I was not prepared for Ishizu, and the reason why it is because I never faced the deck.
There's too many graveyard things as well.
It interacts too much with the graveyard to the point where any single Ishizu card that shuffles back will make you lose resources to the point that you don't get even at all.
It's a good option if you want to apply that rogue factor and there's not that many Ishizu Tear in your locals, but
no, it's really
if there
good.
is, maybe consider something else.
Yeah, definitely. But if you're playing against like a lot of Flounder player, the deck works just fine. It works under any other deck that is not Ishizu and Bestial. The only game I lost that day was against Bestial and Branded. The only reason why it is because they have Super Poly and they eat your resources.
Yeah.
This deck doesn't care about the Bestials. It's not the Bestial engine that is the problem.
I would
it's
think,
the Branded part that it makes more resources than you.
One suggestion I might have, and maybe it's probably in your side, which your side is we're not going to show because it's a bit
messy,
but Secret Village into Spellcasters.
It is really good.
Yeah, because I think that would prevent stuff like
I-
Super Poly and so on.
I'm planning on a new version of the deck once the 5th of May comes, where the new Dogmatica stuff becomes like relevant
Oh
again.
yeah, okay.
And in that version, I plan to play Spellcaster, just because you play. The reason why I'm not playing in this one was because I tested it, and if they remove a single of your Spellcaster, here's more you than your opponent.
Okay,
because
fair.
your end board has only 2 Spellcasters, and they can pass over them pretty easily. So if you lock yourself with the spells, a deck that has like
A
these
lot
many
of spells. Okay, that's a lot of spells.
doesn't
yeah.
go through.
True. Final thing. Any shoutouts? Any?
Big shout out to my friends back in Italy, because they were the ones who like put me on the deck and helped me realize all the issues that the deck had. Shout out to my parents for bringing me the cards from Italy, because
Awesome.
couldn't find the Rise of Avramax to complete the deck.
Oh, okay.
And I think the other person I should thank is Alice Yu-Gi-Oh, because she helped me with the sauce for the deck.
Awesome. I'll put links in the description for that one. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome.
Cheers.